Hello again, my name's John. I'm a retired cook from the northeast of England in the UK, and welcome to another one of my pie videos. And in this dessert pie recipe, I'll show you how to make these wonderful mini apple pies. And I'll be sharing our very own special sweet pastry recipe. These amazing little pies are absolutely delicious and very easy to make. You can see the ingredients list and full written method for this recipe on the recipe page on the channel's website. And the link to that page and lots more is in the description box under the video. Just find and click on the word more, and that'll give you access to all the relative links for this video, including our website store products. Okay, let's get on with today's recipe. I'll start by sharing our sweet pastry recipe with you. Add the flour to your food processor. If you don't have a machine, just blend all the ingredients together by hand. Now we can add the icing or powdered sugar. Next to go in is the orange zest. This gives the pastry a wonderful citrus flavour. Now you can add the salt, but if you're using salted butter in this recipe, you can skip this step. Time to add the cold butter. It's important to have everything cold when making these pastries. So, if you are making this by hand, work as quickly as possible. Now pulse your mixture until you have a fine breadcrumb consistency. And if you're making the pastry by hand, quickly rub the ingredients together with your fingers. Now set your machine away and drizzle in the beaten egg until it all comes together. You'll know when it's done because it starts rolling around the machine. In real time, this takes about 30 to 45 seconds, depending on what machine you have. And once again, if you are making this by hand, use a cold dinner knife to cut it all together. And there it goes, rolling around the machine. That means it's done. Now get it out of the machine. Make sure you get all the bits out too. Just watch your fingers on those blades. Once your pastry is made, flatten it out, wrap it in cling film or parchment paper and refrigerate it for 15 minutes. And that's it, that's your pastry made. Simple as that. Onto the apples. First job is to juice a small lemon. The apples in this recipe have to be pre-cooked, so try to use a good eating apple. I'm using Gala, but Braeburn, Pink Lady, Granny Smith, any of those are good choices too, as they hold their shape much better. The likes of Bramley cooking apples go way too soft for this recipe. Right, wash, peel and core your apples the way you like to. I like to use this apple corer and slicer, it does quite a good job. I'll have to find some for the shop. Once you're at this stage, dice them pretty small like this. As soon as you dice them, get them straight into the bowl and coat it in the lemon juice. Keep tossing them in the lemon juice, this will stop them going brown. And that's all the apples prepped. Now over to the stove. Right, get a wok or frying pan onto a medium heat and add the sugar. Once the sugar melts and turns a golden brown, you can add the apples to the pan. And now what you do is basically stir fry them in the melted sugar. Don't be concerned if any lumps of toffee starts to form like this, they'll soon melt away. The first spice to add is a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Next to go in is a half teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Now stir those spices in. And the next to go in is the butter. This gives the filling a much smoother taste and texture. Now give that a stir until the butter melts. The final ingredient is the thickener. Mix a level teaspoon of corn flour, now you may know that as cornstarch, into 20 ml of cold water. Once it's nice and smooth and lump free, add it to the apples and give it a good mix. This will thicken the mixture nicely. That's it, the filling's done, so turn off the heat. Now get it into a container, cover it and allow it to completely cool. This filling can be made well in advance, even the day before, and refrigerated overnight. Back to the pastry. For rolling the pastry out, I'll be using our very own adjustable stainless steel rolling pin. These amazing rolling pins take all of the guesswork out of rolling your pastry out to the exact thickness that you need. And these are also available on the website. And for this one, I'll be using the 3mm 1/8 pastry spacer. And this is the tart tin I'll be using for these mini pies. And I'm lightly greasing it with butter. I'll leave a link below to my Amazon affiliate page for this tin. Start by lightly dusting your bench and the pastry with flour. If the pastry's been in the fridge for more than 1 hour, take it out 15 minutes before starting to roll it. This will give it enough time to become more pliable. Now start rolling out the pastry as shown. To prevent sticking to pin and bench, turn and dust the pastry as you go. What you're aiming for is a long strip about 20 centimeters or 8 inches wide. If you do have one of our pins, keep rolling until the guides hit the bench. Once your guides hit the bench, you have the perfect thickness. You simply can't go wrong with these rolling pins. On to cutting out the circles using our pastry cutters. And we need 2 sizes of cutters. A large one for the bases of the pies and a smaller one for the lids. The sizes I'm using for this tin are on screen. Start by cutting out the 12 large ones. Once you have them cut, get them into the fridge to stiffen up a bit. Gather up the leftover pastry and re-roll it. Once rolled, cut out the smaller circles for the lids of the pies. And if you wouldn't mind guys, if you found the video useful and enjoyable, can you give the video a like by hitting the thumbs up? It really helps the channel tremendously. Once that's done, get those into the fridge and have a clean up. Before going any further, preheat your oven to 170 degrees Celsius, that's 340 Fahrenheit, or gas mark 3. OK, get your base circles out of the fridge and start lining the tins with them. If it helps, use a spare piece of pastry to gently press the bases down. Once all 12 are in place, and to keep the pastry flat when baking, give each one 2 or 3 pricks with a fork. This is called docking the pastry. Time to start adding the filling. A heaped teaspoon in each one should be enough. Now I've made more filling than I need to fill these pies, because I like to add a little more to the pie when it's on the plate, and I'll show you that a little later. Try to keep your work clean and tidy guys, especially if you're in catering. Next step, crack a small egg into a container and give it a good whisk. This is the egg wash. OK, almost done. Place a lid on each pie. Then very gently press them down a little. And a very quick mention to the channel's Patreon members and supporters. I'll be giving the latest list a shout out a little later in the video. Now give each lid a good coat of the egg wash. And that's those done and ready to bake. So get them into the preheated oven. And I'll remind you again, it's 170 Celsius, that's 340 Fahrenheit or gas mark 3. Now set your timer for 20 minutes. And while those are baking, I hope you don't mind if I give my 4 recipe books a quick shout out. The books have lots of our favourite recipes from our work kitchens in them. And also, book 4 in this series is totally dedicated to bread recipes. I'd also like to say, Christmas isn't that far away. So, if you're thinking of purchasing any of our products and books for presents, get your orders in early and avoid the holiday rush, especially our international customers. And once again, thanks so much for supporting the channel, guys. Right, time's up on these wonderful mini apple pies. And they're looking and smelling gorgeous. still bubbling away. Get the tin onto a wire rack, and while they're still hot, gently lift them out and onto another wire rack. Now grab a small sieve or your flour sprinkler and give them a light dusting of icing or powdered sugar. Right, I'll let those cool for a few minutes and I'll give them a taste when I come back. And as I mentioned earlier, here's that little extra filling I like to add when serving these. And without a doubt, these are best served still hot with double cream or ice cream. And this pastry is light, crisp and buttery with just the right sweetness. And that spiced apple filling is so delicious. This wouldn't be out of place as an amazing Christmas dessert. In fact, I'm adding this one to my ever-increasing Christmas playlist. And that's another big thumbs up pie recipe for you to try, guys. And as mentioned earlier in the video, here is the latest list of my Patreon, PayPal and Super Thank You button supporters. And they are Andrea Burtonwood, Kim Kelly Taylor, Katie Berberich, me ex-Xenomorph, Lavinia Rawlinson, Darrell Elder 1352, Jeremy Larkin 5867 and Jens K 3250. Thanks very much, guys. I really do appreciate all that you do in supporting the channel. Well, thank you again for watching. Please like, share, comment and subscribe by hitting the circle above. If you do subscribe, activate the bell icon next to the subscribe button on my channel page. And by doing that, you'll be automatically notified every time I upload a new video. And in the meantime, here's a few of my other videos and playlists that you may want to watch. So, until the next time, be safe in your kitchen and bye for now.